Hello and welcome to the lobby, Filthy Casual edition, number 1 of maybe 4 before we get the new show set up.
Sounds about right.
Eric Tay.
What up?
You know, you're part of the new lobby production crew.
Yeah, I think it's 4.
4 of it, yeah? You got
so.
4 out? We'll have Josh Shaw back, hopefully, on the editing, on the production side next week. He's at CES. Andy Bauman here running around with his own little camera setup, making it look good. He's come over. Andy of The Point fame is going to be director of photography on this new lobby. We're redoing the lobby. We're kind of tearing it down and building it back up again because that's basically what happened to our set.
Yeah.
It's like we moved floors. We've gone from the 3rd floor to the 1st floor. But we still need that sick GameSpot talent, which is why Mike Mahardy's here.
What's up?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm not on the lobby production staff, but I'll probably be here once in a while to sound like I kind of know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but you play those video games. You played that XCOM. We're going to get to that in a little bit.
I played a lot of XCOM.
Because you got all that XCOM knowledge. You have to swap out Andy for that bad boy because they don't know a goddamn thing about XCOM.
And then I'm going to take the camera.
Turn-based stuff,
He's
I
just,
think.
He's just sipping on your fucking Bungie tea bag. Is that like a New Year's resolution? Is that the new you?
No, I'm actually just fighting a cold, so
Oh, is that what it is?
it's nice to have some tea here.
Good, nice to know you were sick before I put you in this incubator with me and Mahardy.
I'm 5 days deep, man. We're good. I
You
can't
sick for 5
spread
days?
it anymore.
Is there like a rule? 5 days is past the
I think
contamination period?
I thought 5 days is go to the doctor.
I thought 5 days was like when you're the most contagious.
Dude,
I'm right next to him.
I had like wicked bad constipation over Christmas.
Nice.
Like real bad. Like I didn't poop in like 3 days, and I pooped like 3 days a day.
Pooping is like
3
all
times
I
a
did.
day. I know. It was so, and especially over Christmas, when literally all I'm doing is sitting down playing video games and eating.
Sounds like a fiber issue.
It was. So I went out, but then what happened was I think I ate too much fiber. Because then suddenly all I was eating was fiber.
Celery and celery.
There's fiber in celery. Okay, yeah,
there's
like
fiber in
all
celery.
fruit basically, like fiber bars, like
Nanners.
fiber supplements. I don't know what a nanner is. What's that?
Banana.
Banana.
Oh.
Nanners. That word's not complicated enough. You got to make up a more complicated version.
That's a bananas way to say that.
There you go. Jesus, that's why we brought you in.
Yeah.
Right.
But we're redoing the lobby, and we're kind of figuring it out. We've already had a couple of meetings. We went back to our constituencies over the holidays and kind of thought about it. And I feel like we had one of these meetings where we kind of tore it all down and then figured out like, oh, what's the best way to do this? What's the best way to use the set? What are the ways in which the show works and what are the ways in which the show sucks? And I guess we kind of have this like formula now where we're basically just making like breakouts from the titles. Like the whole show is based around like titles, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's the most interesting things, right? Like that's what's gonna draw people in. That and the thumbnails, which you make. Thank you, Danny.
But isn't that, and that's kind of like that's the reason it sucks as well, is because we have this show is basically, all right, how can we get people to watch a 10-minute video about XCOM? So we'll say, like, this week's one is going to be called friggin' like, is XCOM 2 too casual? Like,
Yeah, good
spoilers,
title.
it's not, right?
Not at
no,
all.
So, no, it's not at all. But it gets people to watch it.
Great title, right?
But that's what the lobby just ended up only being. Was like us just like, not super baity, but like us like setting up sections to get people to watch them. And it almost might as well not have been a live show.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, right? Like, I think the live show, we did those segments and like we kind of had them planned out, or like, you know, collectively would figure it out and plan it out. And it kind of worked for live, which was the nice part, but like in a way we were kind of like VODing it, you know, like we're making them kind of like, okay, this is what it's going to be and this is kind of why we're doing it.
It's like super efficient way of creating a bunch of like on-demand videos for the site and YouTube. But it wasn't really a good live
experience.
Like why would you watch the lobby live? I was kind of, for a while I was kind of thinking like, oh, like we basically did no feedback at all. There was no like spontaneity at all because we planned everything so well. It was almost like too well planned.
Yeah, I mean, like the only segments that kind of got the community involved were, you know, the Ask the Reviewer segments where you kind of like field questions or kind of look in comments and whatnot. Maybe that wasn't as live as we could be, but like that at least kind of brought that up, and it's something we're looking into, right? Like that's part of like the like initiative for this year is kind of like, how do we kind of bring the community into it? How do we make it more of a live show so that, you know, like it is a live thing and not just servicing a VOD thing. I mean, like we're still going to have segments, obviously.
It's our bread and butter.
We got to do it, right?
We get that traffic. Like that's what keeps That's what people seem to like them as well. They've actually done really well over the past year. It's definitely better than the previous year. Can't believe the show's been running for like 2 years. It's crazy. But yeah, when I look at like the stuff that's come out of those meetings, it's like pretty exciting. Like we're gonna have like a way more better structured kind of lobby show still Tuesdays at 2 p.m. looks like, but we're gonna keep going. Once the show kind of finishes, we're gonna like do a sort of open play. We're gonna start playing more games during like it'll basically like soft finish. Yeah. And then we'll keep playing for maybe an hour or two, get people involved. And then on Friday, we're doing this like lunch. Well, this is like the current plan. We're basically going to do like a 2 to 3 hour live show for only the community. So feedback on all GameSpot stuff, YouTube, reviews, like all the stuff we don't cover on the show that we wouldn't because like this is too like much of a news show, but there's so much other shit happening in like the wider gaming community that like trends that aren't headlines that we can kind of talk about there, like really get into it, get a bunch of guests in. We're like looking at like Skyping people in, like all our industry folks. We can kind of act as a conduit between gamers and those folks instead of us being like, I don't know. It feels like being in the games press is getting weirder and weirder. Like 2016, it's like games coverage isn't what that is anymore, especially for us in video because it's like video has gone off in this completely other direction. So we've kind of had to reevaluate like the way we relate to everyone, as especially our audience. So that Friday show I'm super excited about because that's basically like our like community blowout, and we're gonna do some fucking really fun stuff on that.
And I think hopefully for the community too, you know, like we can get guests like Mike on, we can get some other people on just to kind of talk about stuff that's happening during the week, and then kind of go back and forth a little bit with the community, which is something we haven't really been able to do, or we just like this is going to be our way to try to figure that out, I guess, a little bit, or just kind of start to get that involvement, start to build that up, and you know, hopefully it's fun for them too. I'm really excited to see kind of just where that goes. It's something we haven't done for a while, and I know that you know there are like super fans and fans that you know they want to talk to like you, Andy, Mike, the other editors as well, like Alexa and Scott, etc. And this will kind of give a spot for that, I guess, and actually get responses. Like I don't think it's something we're all trying to do better. I think this year, like you know, just get back to the community because we don't do a good job. We always say like, "Hey, watch this video," and then give us your comments below.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm real guilty of that. Like every episode, every segment on the lobby was basically that, and like fuck, like I come from like watching On the Spot and stuff back in 2006, 7, 8, and like that's when that was like that was like. God, like you think now it's so trite because Twitch and everything exists and like that's basically like how everyone does it, but like it was so unique. But that had a community, that felt like community. I don't think there's been a community, or if there is a community, I'm not tapped into it like I used to be. I don't think many of us are. So we're kind of like building it from the ground up again in like a really interesting way. So we're gonna engage in like I've talked to Cynthia Corey. Cynthia is our long-suffering community manager here, who's like already tapping me back into like the right forums and whatnot, like on the site and like where all those communities are, where we can like tap into existing little pockets and then really just like get that stuff on. Like I want to Skype people on a show. I just want to like some user who's been around for like years, who's like worked in some other, who's like, you know, in the middle of goddamn nowhere. Like Skype them in and ask them what the fuck they think about like the review for I don't know, XCOM 2 or whatever. You know, let's really like break it down. And I think that's what's interesting is like right now we don't know exactly what it is because we've got about a month to make it, but we're getting there. Like already we figured out, okay, it's going to be a podcast as well. So like, do we bring these into the set next door? Do we that? I think Andy wants that. Nod. There you go. So we got lots of stuff like that. So we're working on it. We've got lots of ideas. That's kind of the basic shape of it at the moment. It may change, may not change. But let us know in the comments on this at Daniel Dwyer, at Ate, Andy Bauman, even Mike Mahardy. Just get in. Let us know what you think of what this show should be in 2016. Yeah, I'm fucking excited. Anyway, we're here to talk about video games. It's been a couple of weeks.